Imagine if we lived in a world where all of our dreams would come true and we never had to actually do anything to get them. Some would argue that this would make life so much better and that we would all be happy all the time and everything would be great. What you're about to learn is the dark side of certain activities that many of us do when nobody is watching. I remember one of the first games that I ever played called Grand Theft Auto. I'm sure you've heard of it. That game was so fun that I could play it for hours right out of the box. And sometime later, I discovered that there were cheat codes for it, and it was one of the first games that I had ever actually used cheat codes for. I remember pressing the controller buttons in various combinations to activate the codes, and sure, it was fun for a while. But after so long, the cheat codes basically ended up destroying the game for me. And once this happened, I no longer wanted to play it. Because what is the point of the story if you have to cheat to win? What happens is that it loses its meaning or its purpose. In a perfect world, one where we get anything and everything that we want without having to earn it or work for it, this is not a world that you and I want to live in. Sure, it would be fun at first, but then eventually it would have no purpose or no meaning. The activity that many men engage in from behind their computer screen is almost like using cheat codes for life, but in the worst possible way. The law of cause and effect states that every single action produces a reaction, but in many cases there is actually a delay or a gap in time between your actions and their consequences. And this is incredibly important because although we don't realize the effect of certain actions while we're doing them, the consequences eventually show up in our lives at a later time. So why does playing a game with cheat codes end up eventually ruining the game for us? And the answer is because it eliminates the challenge. Psychologically, humans love a good challenge, and due mostly to our culture here in the West, men are taught from a very young age that women are the prize and that men simply are not. And because of this, most women out there are able to simply pick and choose from hundreds of different men, and in most cases, they will choose the one who provides the greatest challenge for them. And it just so happens that, on average, the man who provides a great challenge also happens to be a great catch in terms of his character among other assets. But the truth is that men also like a good challenge, even though many of us are exceptionally lazy. So the things that some guys do in their bedroom when nobody is looking completely eliminates the challenge. Over time, scientists have ran many experiments where they put a mouse inside of a cage and give it a lever. And every time that the mouse pulls the lever, he will receive a dose of a chemical drug that releases dopamine within his brain. And what scientists found after doing these experiments shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. But what they found was that if the mouse was allowed to simply choose what he wanted to do and was able to pull the lever as often as he wanted, the mouse would sit there in the corner of his cage pulling the lever until he eventually died of various causes such as malnutrition. In other words, when given the freedom to choose, not just one, but every mouse that was tested would sit in the corner of the cage pulling the lever constantly while disregarding everything else in its life that is important. Basically, the mouse stopped socializing, he stopped worrying about eating and exercising, and all he seemed to care about was pulling the lever. So what do you think happens to men when we are offered a lever? As humans, we love a good challenge. We didn't go to the moon because we thought we would find gold and diamonds there. We went to the moon because it was a challenge. Women choose the best men that they can find because they represent the greatest challenge. The things that we enjoy doing most in life also just happen to be the things that challenge us the most. The things that push us to break through our limits and grow. So every single time that you open up that website, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about, all that you're really doing is pulling a lever. And there is simply no challenge in that. There is a mental state called flow, and it is almost like a real-life superpower that allows us to accomplish amazing things when used correctly. And to enter flow state, you have to engage in an activity that is just the right amount of a challenge. So not too easy, but also not too hard. This is why challenges in life are so important. And when you choose to simply pull the lever, the challenge that makes activities meaningful is eliminated. It's like turning on the cheat codes and ruining the game of life. But there is an even greater, more sinister consequence for guys who choose to simply pull the lever, and it's so sneaky that most guys have no idea that it's affecting them in the background. Imagine if for 10 years, every single day of your life, you lived in a huge mansion. Over time, you would wake up and grow to expect that. You would wake up and expect the huge bathroom that you're able to walk into and get ready in. and you'd probably expect the huge spiral staircase that takes you down through the multiple levels of your home. You'd expect to look out the window and see your giant private pool or tennis court or whatever else you had outside. And over time, you would grow to expect these things. And now imagine if all of a sudden you had to move into a shelter and live there for 10 years. Most likely, you would feel really depressed. Certain things that a lot of guys do when nobody is looking, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Over time, completely changes our expectations. So the next time that you come across a girl who likes you, but who doesn't look like what you've come to expect, you end up turning her down, even though she was probably a really great option for you. But the most damaging effect of engaging in certain activities is that it changes your expectations for pretty much everything else in life. And what happens is, we begin to expect a lever or an easy button for everything. If we wake up one day and we want $1 million, we expect there to be a little lever there that we can just pull and get it instantly. And we literally become like the mouse in the corner of the cage who can't stop pulling the lever to save his life. And the more that we pull it, the more power that it gains over us. So many guys completely miss the point because it's not about never getting a release, so to speak, but more about earning it the right way. Remember, it's all about the challenge. If you take the challenge away, pretty much any activity that you engage in becomes useless. Now, there are benefits of holding back, so to speak, but if this is all that you care about, then you're completely missing the point. What it's really about is not sitting in the corner and pulling the lever when you could be out there earning the reward through challenges that allow you to grow and break through your current limits. So the point here is choose to be a man and not a mouse. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.